Well, the big questions in life always need to be answered because you never know when you're going to need them. Our next guest is Shaila Visser, who faced a life-threatening situation, and she also helps answer spiritual questions coast to coast. Shaila, welcome as the CEO of Alpha Canada.
Thanks, Lorna. Good to be here today.
Okay, first I want to talk about you getting struck with fungal meningitis. What happened?
A few years ago, it was just shocking. I'd had headaches and finally got so violently ill from the headaches that I took myself to the hospital. They checked it out, they grew a culture, they found out through a lumbar puncture that I had meningitis, and then through the culture that I had fungal meningitis, which is very rare. Very few people in Canada get it, and if they do, they usually have HIV because they're immunocompromised. And I didn't have anything that I knew of, and I still don't have HIV, and so they were shocked that I had this disease. It's a disease that this fungus grows on trees out in BC. And you breathe it in, and those with compromised immune systems, it goes in through your respiratory system and plants itself in your brain. And I had a fungal ball growing, and that's why my brain was swelling. I had such terrible headaches. It was awful.
I know you as, this busy fellow chief executive officer at Alpha Canada, and you were stopped cold in your tracks, hospitalized for 5 weeks.
Yeah.
Faith, life, everything turned upside down. How did you heal?
Well, from having panic attacks in the hospital and feeling like you can barely pray for yourself, you're so sick, the drugs they said are as bad as the disease. But God intervened. My pastor came in and said something he hasn't, I don't think, said ever before, but he said, I believe God wants to heal you, and I want to pray for that. And so he prayed for us. This is towards the end of my time in hospital. And we thought we'd be there another 3 weeks, but at the 5.5-week mark, it was Good Friday. He came in, laid hands, gave communion, prayed for us. The following Tuesday, I had an MRI. And my specialist came in on the Wednesday morning and said, you're not going to believe it, but we can't find it, which I expected at some point they'd say, right? Okay, the drugs have worked. But they tell you that you'll be left with a scar on your brain. And you'll always have known you've had it if you ever have another brain scan. And he came in that day and said, you're not going to believe it. Not only is the fungal ball gone, but there's no trace of it and there's no scar. And of course, we were overjoyed that it had disappeared, and we were praising God. And he just said, I have no explanation for why you have no scar.
There are sometimes big questions we need to ask about God. And I know, as your friend, I was cheering from the sidelines.
Yeah.
Because we need you to keep helping us as Canadians ask, how do I have a relationship with God? When I'm in a crisis and I need to be prayed for, how do I build that spiritual care around us, which is what Alpha is all about.
Yeah.
Just in a nutshell, people might not know, what is Alpha?
Well, Alpha is an opportunity to explore the meaning of life. It's from a Christian perspective, but we welcome people from all faith backgrounds, people that have no faith. You could be Sikh, you could be Muslim, you could be a Buddhist, you could be an atheist, and the more diverse the group, the better the Alpha. And it's really an experience that you come and you check it out. Churches host it, individuals host it in their homes. They can be found in pubs.
I've had it twice in my home. I love it, and I'm praying to do it at our Y. But it's just a really fun evening of spiritual discussions.
That's right, and people love it, and they come once, and they get invited back to continue on this journey. And it really is a journey with other people that are asking similar questions.
Okay. So there's going to be a huge campaign. You're going to have to be under a rock in the GTA, in the Toronto area, but it's going to Prince Edward Island. It's spreading to the Maritimes, and every church is doing it coast to coast. Last year, over 3,000 Canadian churches did it.
Yeah, we had 3,600 Alphas running across the country. 75,000 people took Alpha.
Okay, for all you Westerners who try to pray for Toronto, here's something special that has happened.
That's right.
Your Toronto staff person got a very dynamic vision about the CN Tower.
Yeah.
What did he see?
He was in a church service, and as he says, it wasn't a particularly super church service. It was just, he felt like God gave him this vision, the CN Tower with a sheet coming down, a white sheet, and covering the GTA. And he was new on staff, and he called me and he said, I've had this strange dream, not when he was sleeping, but awake. And he said, it's like a vision, and I think God wants us to do something in the GTA. And I said, oh, isn't that nice? GTA is too big. 6 million people, over 50% born outside of Canada, over 200 unique dialects and languages.
4th largest city in the world.
Yeah. Well, in North America, anyways.
Sorry, North America, not the world.
Anyways, so you just think, no way, too big, too crazy. And a year later, so he was still praying about it. I'd kind of let go of that, of his dream. And a year later, I was sitting beside him in a meeting in Toronto, and I got a phone call from a Christian foundation that said, for a variety of reasons, we'd like to make a donation of $1 million for this media campaign in Ontario, but specifically the GTA, and it's going to be in the GTA, Greater Toronto Area, Ottawa, and London. And you know, we're in the nonprofit world. You don't get $1 million you don't even ask for.
So you have a vision on staff of a blanket.
Yeah, a white sheet coming down over the GTA.
Covering the Greater Toronto area, and then a year later, a gift that makes that possible, $1 million gift that makes it possible. God is on the move for Alpha in the Greater Toronto area.
We just can't believe
so if you've always wondered, how do I sit in a group of nice people and ask the questions I've wanted to do about God? How do they get connected?
They go to tryalpha.ca, and they can easily look for an Alpha near them, and they'll be all across the GTA.
Okay, great commercials airing on this.
Yep.
This is Bear Grylls, who's going to be the face of this campaign.
Yes.
Why did you choose Bear Grylls?
Well, actually, I think he chose us. By the grace of God, he goes to Holy Trinity Brompton, the founding church behind Alpha. He said to Nikki Gumbel, our pioneer, I'd love for you to use my brand. He's a world-famous adventurer, has 6 television shows. Some people will know his NBC show, Running Wild with Bear Grylls. He takes out famous people. He came to Nikki and he said, you know, my brand is one of the most well-known around the world, and it's really well-known with people in their 20s. Would this help more people in their 20s specifically get on Alpha if I lent you my brand for 1 year? And so that's the brand we're using, and we're inviting people to try their greatest adventure with Bear Grylls and come on Alpha.
And here's some great shots of just how groups happen. They look like all that kind of work, and Bear Grylls has a personal relationship with Jesus.
He does.
As do you and I, and it always takes asking questions, sitting in a place where you can figure it out. What does it mean?
I think we all need a safe environment. We all need a place where I can come and be known and be accepted for what I believe, even if I disagree with what's being said.
Okay, the website again is?
Tryalpha.ca.
Tryalpha.ca. Or give us a call. We can help get you connected at our prayer lines. Shaila Visser, let's have a great time rolling this out. We're going to hear lots more about Alpha in the next 10 days here at Huntley Street because we really want to get this. Most of these groups will launch in October, and we want to get you plugged in to where you can learn about the questions you have about God through the Alpha groups. Shaila, thank you so much. Stay tuned for more of 100 Huntley Street right after this.